So let's run it. And then I'm gonna go here and comment on this. And as you can see now, this used to be at 11, now it's at 5. And this was at 22, now it's this was at 21, now it's at 22. And all of these were at 17, and now we're at 18. The 5s remain the same because they have the same criteria and they're already set properly. So those didn't need to change. Hello everyone, this is Javier Luengo, the CEO of Smarter Path, an AI automation agency. Today we're going to be going over one of the internal tools that we have at the agency to help us go through our day-to-day. Basically because when we do our outreach, we do email campaigns and we need to set those up, we need to manage them, and we need to make sure that they're actually working properly. And a lot of these things are very manual, and this is one of the things that we will be automating today. So let's get to it. So basically, when we have an email campaign, we will have a bunch of emails for each user, basically. And we will have a daily limit that we will set up. Generally speaking, we want to keep it between 30 and 50 at the max to avoid burning the emails and the domains. And we will have warm-up enabled here, basically to make sure that the quality of the accounts remains high, and a warm-up reputation. As we start sending emails, and some of them get marked as spam, some of them bounce, and things of that nature, the warm-up reputation will go down. And what we want to do is when they go down, we want to lower the amount of emails that we send from those accounts so that this reputation goes up, as well as to avoid having many emails from those being sent by those accounts going into spam. Because the lower the warm-up reputation quality that we have, the higher the likelihood that those emails go into spam. So we will actually create a system that helps us basically avoid sending many emails from emails that have a low quality at the moment based on how they have been managed over the last few weeks or days. So the first thing that we will do is actually we'll go into N8N as always, and we'll create a trigger and go then into an HTTP request basically. So now we want to do a cron basically, so schedule trigger, and here we will do we could actually do, for example, 6 p.m. here, and this would be fine. We may want to do this, for example, avoid doing it on the weekends or things of that nature, but for now we can just keep it simple and keep it like this. And now we will go into an HTTP request because we want to go into SmartLeads API. So this software, it has an API that we will connect to actually access these email accounts, and from that we can start actually looking for which ones are working, how they're set up at the moment, what their rates are, what the limits, what their warm-up reputation is, etc., etc. So we will actually have to look for the one that has email accounts. So email. Okay. So we don't want to actually list email accounts per campaign. We want to list all of the email accounts actually. So let's look for the one. So this is the one, yes. So fetch all email accounts associated to a user. Okay. So this is the CURL. Okay. And this is what we'll actually go with. So let's copy this, import CURL. Let's see, no, it doesn't let us do it. Okay, then let's look for what it's actually doing. So it's a GET request. So it's already set up as such. So this is the URL. And the API key we can actually set off as a parameter. So then send query parameters, yes, using field below. So then we will have here the API key. And here we will copy ours. And then we'll also send the headers. And okay, perfect. So this is what we have here. So the headers that we will set here will be accept, and we will do here application JSON. We don't need to send anybody here or anything like that. So this is fine as it is. And here we will just copy now the API key that we have, that we'll have to go into Smartly to find. But in my case, we already have it. So we just copy and paste it here. And then we can execute this step and see what we get. So here we're seeing a lot of the emails that we have on the account with all of the different details. So here we have the warm-up details, which is very relevant here because we are having warm-up reputation, which is one of the parameters that we want to see. The status of the warm-up, so if it's active, and how many have been sent, how many have been spam, and the daily send count as well. So these are the numbers that we will play with to basically make sure that if we don't have warm-up active, we lower the amount of emails that we're sending. If the warm-up reputation is not high, we lower them as well, etc., etc. Okay, so this is what we'll be looking to do right now. So now, since we see that we have here 56 items, we're only seeing one by one. So now we need to iterate over all of them. So that's the first thing that we set up here. So it's a loop. And the batch size will be 1, yes. So we will go one by one. And we will start basically asking questions through if statements. So here we do an if. And the thing we want to see here is execute previous nodes. Here we want to see if the warm-up is active, basically. So if it is equal to active, all capitals, if I'm not mistaken, yes, then execute the step, then this is true in this case. So then we'll go in one direction. If it's false, we'll go into a different one. So what do we do now? Then we say, okay, if it's false, so if it's not active, we need to go into Smart Lead again, into the API, and set the number of emails that we can send. So let's see here. What are the other ones? Create an email account, update an email account. So this is the one. So this is a post request, yes, okay. So we copy this. Let's just copy it all the way here. So this is a post request, as we just said. And here we paste this. And what we want to do here is take the ID of this specific email account. So we add it here. Let's remove the space. And then we say query parameters, same as before. So we have here the API key, lowercase. And we copy it again, same as we did before. And then we need to send the headers. Some headers that we need to do the same as before, actually, in this case. So it's the accept and then application JSON. And then we do have a body in this case. So we will send it with the max email per day, which is what we see here as one of the parameters that we have here. So we can set it to 100, for example. We also have a custom tracking URL, the BCC for this email account, the signature. So we can actually set up a lot of things for this account. We could actually also obviously modify this accordingly based on whichever email it is and things of that nature. If we want to always send a blind carbon copy to someone, then we set this up. What we want to do right now is simply determine the amount of emails per day that we send. And what we want to do here is if we are not having a warm-up active, we want to lower this to 5, which is the minimum that we can have, but we don't want to risk it, for example, in this case. So that's what we will do, okay? If it is true, which is what happened in this case, though, what do we do now? So now we want to see, now that we see that it's active, we want to see what is the quality of the of the warm-up. So what we do here is basically check the warm-up reputation that we can see here at the end. So warm-up reputation. What happens here, though? We have a number that's 100%, and we want to compare numbers to numbers. So let's actually remove the percentage sign. So we're going to slice it, and we're going to go from 0, so from the beginning of the number, to just removing the last character. So instead of the 100%, now we have 100, which is much better. And now we want to make sure that this is a number to avoid issues, because otherwise we could run into issues here. So let's actually not even do it for now. So let's do is greater than, and let's say it's greater than 95 here. And here we have an issue because wrong type. 100 is a string, but was expecting a number. So we want to actually convert this to number, as we see there. And now we will actually be able to execute it. And it's true. 100 is greater than 95. So then we go to the top again. If it's lower, we will see in a bit how we manage it. But now, for now, this is true. And we want to add another one. So now what do? We add another if, because there's different situations that we can have here, okay? So now we want to see, now that it's more than 95, which is what we just checked, we want to see, and we actually, instead of creating a new one, we'll actually copy and paste this one, just because it will save us some time. So we want to go here. So we already have this. Now we want to check, okay, if it's greater than 98, and let's add a condition. We want to see if the messages per day, let's see where these are. Messages per day. So we are here, it's at 18. So if it's greater than 98 as well, and the messages per day are less than 30, which in this case it's also true. Both of these are true. This is greater than 98 because it's 100, and this is less than 30 because it's 18. So it's going to be true. And now we want to do something. In this case, we want to go back into this request. We're going to copy and paste this one, and we're going to add it here. So in this case, what we want to do is basically take the one that we already have. So this right here. So the messages per day that we have, and we want to bring it from whatever it is to that plus one. So we're going to go here, and we're going to take it, and we're going to go into messages per day, which we had here. And instead of having this value, we're going to have an expression, and we're going to do messages per day plus one, basically. So we just add this plus one right here. So we have 19 now, and we can execute this step, and then we would go into the next one because we are done with this flow in this case. Okay, so this is actually done for this, and we can then bring it back into this one to go into the next. What happens though? Okay, let's actually name this because otherwise it's going to be more complicated. Warm up active, and then this is higher than 95%, and this is higher than 98, and let's keep it shorter, greater than 98%, and less than 30. Okay, so now if it's not greater than 98 and it's higher than 30, we have another option, right? So we need to do another if, where we actually do if it's more than 98, but also more than 30. And for this, we just need to copy basically these two things that we have here. So copy this. And this. And we just need to set them up with the logic that we just determined. So here we want to make sure that if it's greater than 98, so this is a number greater than 98, and if this is a number also, and if it's greater than 30. In this case, we will not be going here because this is the false stream, so then there's no output that we get here. But what we want to do here is, again, we want to do one HTTP request, and then we want to validate another thing. So here we will copy this, copy and paste. Good. We go here, and then here we want to do an other if. So let's copy and paste this. And in this one, we want to see if it's less than 98. So this, and if it's more than 15. So if it's less than 98, and if this is greater than 15. So, and in this case here, what we want to do first, it's if it's more than 98 and more than 30, we want to bring this to 30. Instead of doing this right here, we want to keep it at 30. So this is going to be fixed on 30. For this one, we want to see if it's more than 98 and more than 15. And in this case, we want to set this, we want to copy this node again. And in this case, we want to set it to 15. And if it's more than 98 and less than 15, we want to, this is actually less than. So this actually should be the other way around. There we go. So if it's less than 98 and more than 15, then we bring it up 1 day at a, like 1 per day. So actually, let's also rename this one. So this is add 1. Then we want to copy the add 1, basically, in this case. And with all of these flows, we're actually already done. Once we have them as this, we're going to change them up. We're going to reorganize this so we have less lines all over the place. Because it's a bit messy right now, right? So let's bring this up, bring this up, bring this up again, as well as this. Let's actually make these two go in the same line there, this one as well. And then we bring this up here. This can be right here, I'd say. Okay, let's keep it here. And then here on the warm-up active node, then we bring it to 6, and then we bring it back as well. And now we need to handle this flow if it is less than 95, basically. So we want to do another one like that and basically check now if it's below or above 90. Okay, so now what do? We want to check now if now it is above 90 and below 95 in this case. Okay, so what do we want to check? We don't want to check this because we already know. We want to check if it is more than 10. And let's actually name as well this one higher than 90. Okay, so if it's higher than 90, lower than 95, and it's more than 10, we want to lower it at 1 as well. We want to do similar to this, and we want to just bring it to 10 emails. We're between 90 and 95 in quality, and we're sending more than 10. So we want to bring this to 10 in this case, and we want to do it fixed. There we go. And then we bring this back to here. So we want to have this at this height. Let's bring this down a bit, bring this down as well. And then if it is not, what we want to do is, in this case, we want to actually do exactly the same as here. So we want to send another one, another email per day. Which is what we're doing here. So if we are between 90 and 95 and sending less than 10, we want to go to 10. Let's bring this down to make this a bit smoother as well. Let's keep this here. No, let's keep it here. This is fine. Okay, so we have a full flow right now where we're actually going to be checking the whole thing. So let's save it and let's execute the workflow and see what happens. So we're seeing here that we have 56 items and they're going. Warm-up is active for most of them so far, so 9 out of 9. And actually we forgot this one, if it's lower than 90. So we actually got stuck here. Good that we saw this. In this case, we want to basically do the same as lowering to 5. So lower to 5. We're going to copy this and do it here as well. So if it's less than 90, we are also going to not send more than 5 emails, which is the the minimum that we are allowed to basically do. 2.5. Okay, so that's what we were missing here. So let's execute the workflow. We see the 56 and the first 9 go here, but then we see a few that are lower than 90. So then we bring these to 5. And we're seeing how each request is working. And we see a lot of them that are actually over 98 and below 30, which is the one that goes here. So 43 go there. There's 2 that are inactive that went here. There's 54 that were higher than 95. And 43 were higher than 95, 11 were high here and higher than 90. They were all lower than 90 actually. So there was nothing between 90 and 95, which would have gone here. And we see, so then all of these were set to 5 and all of these were added 1 because we didn't have anything between 98 and 100 and having higher than 30 or anything like this. So this is actually how this flow ended up working. So this actually would have taken us a long time because if we go here into each email account, we would have to open every single one of them and we would have to go into them and go into the general settings, set the emails per day, check how the warm-up is here manually and then save it and then go email by email doing exactly this, which takes maybe, if we have 56 accounts as we just saw, it might be like a minute per account. No, not a minute, but maybe it takes like 15 minutes to go over all of them and correct the ones that are not properly at the moment or things like that. So this actually saves a lot of time because it would be good to do this at least once a week. Here, thanks to automation, we're doing it every single day. So we have a much higher and much better control of how our accounts and our email campaigns are going. And we're saving basically at least 15, 20 minutes per week, plus increasing a lot of the quality of how we are managing our accounts. So this is a super useful flow that we have. And it is very time saving, so I recommend that you implement this. So as you can see, in about 20 minutes we can actually save ourselves 20 minutes per week while actually improving also the quality of our outputs. So if you have any feedback or any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you've been watching until the end of the video, feel free to like and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you again next week. I'm Javier from Smarter Path.